Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritually Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a deep look at the first new moon in Virgo, the black moon, the one that doesn't happen very frequently. Now, before we get started, I want to give a couple quick little disclaimers. One, your girl has been super, super busy since like March. And if you know, you know, if you've listened to me for a long time, when I keep announcing events and stuff like that, like I don't even announce everything on the podcast that I'm doing. Your girl's been busy. Because of that, got to do some things with time management this week, and there will not be cards in this week's episode. We are just going to focus on the astrology. I know a lot of people like the cards. Every once in a while, I have to pull back and not do those. I apologize. This is going to be one of those weeks. But you will still be learning a lot of things when it comes to aspects in this astrology and understanding what is going on in the stars right now and what it is activating for us in the individual sense based off of our rising signs, of course, as well as in the collective sense, because there are things that are brewing. Now, whenever it comes to this new moon, there are two new moons in Virgo. I've been very, very clear about this for a while, guys. And unofficially, this is the start of eclipse season. But the thing is, when it comes to this vibration, I'm not, how do I want to say this? We're not all going to see it clearly. That's the big way I need to say it. Not, we are not all going to see what's brewing in this new moon. Now, about 2 years ago, we had a very specific transit that was going on, and a lot of people learned the terminology YOD, 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 and it is known as the finger of destiny. The problem I have with the way a lot of other astrologers have actually talked about a YOD is they make it seem like it is like sunshine and rainbows. We need to break that down a little bit better. A YOD is when one particular planetary aspect is happening in a quincunx, an in conjunction, not seeing eye to eye, in some ways hidden from another party, from another entity in the astrology, from other planets. Now, the reason I'm specifically comparing this one to the one to 2 years ago is because some of the same planetary players from the last one are involved with this one. Now, the one that happened before that YOD, it was in July of 2023, and it was at the start of the Venus retrograde. The two planets that are included in this situation are Pluto and Neptune. They were in a double quincunx to Venus as she was turning retrograde at the end of perspective signs. There is something that needed to come to a close. And if you think about how much of a whirlwind the last 2 years have been, if you've listened to me for a long time, we've covered it. If you've only listened to me for the last year, I have talked about how much of a gauntlet the energy really activated into back in July of 2024 to bring us into the now. This double quincunx or YOD now has additional players, and it is again the capturing vibration that starts eclipse season. Now, to be an eclipse, whatever the lunation is, full moon, new moon, doesn't matter. It has to be within 15 degrees of the node. This is going to be 17 degrees away. So it's just past. The second new moon in Virgo will be the actual eclipse, but it's still a powerful vibration. But for a lot of people, the power in this vibration is the unknown, the unseen, things coming up to the surface, things that are happening that either other people do not support, other people do not know about, or you recognize something is brewing, but you don't know exactly what it is and you can't really put your finger on it. We don't necessarily have permission. Now, some of us I do not require permission. I am a single, independent woman, and nobody gonna give me permission. I don't need it. But that doesn't mean what you're working on right now is going to be received by everyone immediately. Many of us are in a masterminding vibration. We're making strategic plays for what will be a multitude of levels of change: spoken change, written change, marketing change, acts of service change. And I'm putting all of this into perspective that this is how we're starting Virgo season. And Virgo is a sign of being of service, but it's also a mutable sign. It is a sign that bridges us from one season to the next. There's a change in the energy. And for many people, the change will take the entire lunar month, first new moon in Virgo, hi, this is where we're at, to the next new moon in Virgo, a month from now, September 21st, before we're ready to show it off, showcase something, bring things into light, bring things into focus. In recent episodes, one of the things that I have said is that some people know you're starting to go into something new, regardless of whether people like what you're doing or not. You're looking at something, feeling like someone has withdrawn their support. They're not doing the things that they said that they were going to do. And because of that, we're going off in our own way. And we don't necessarily care if they like this idea, the product, the adventure, the path that we're going into next. Some of us know we are hiding something from another party. We are hiding it because we know they don't want to hear about it. We know they won't believe in it. We know it's going to be a fight. And until we have some results, until we've proven some things, it ain't worth the fight. Sometimes we just have to do the thing that says, I'm going to win. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Now, when it comes to this vibration, many of us that are just taking steps into the new direction, we don't realize just how powerful this change is going to be. Some people don't realize the changes that they're making in the moment and the grabs of energy are going to be so long-term impactful. And this will have elements of that. And I am going to remind everybody, again, you are not going to see all of the changes and all of the vibration in one single moment. It will take weeks. Because again, there are 2 new moons in Virgo. This is the hidden vibration, hidden moon, black moon. It is not common for us to have 2 new moons in one sign. And adding into a layer that in this regard, one of them is actually an eclipse. There is a huge amount of transition that either people are not going to support, you're not going to show them until you have results, because that's the only way that's going to sway their opinion. We will have levels of resistance. But in the long run, it's a stepping stone in the vibration, in the direction, in what we're doing, in how we are moving, and what we're going to push our energy into, again, in the long run. There's necessity in the shift of this new moon. So I want to show the screen for just a second, and then I'm going to pull it back to me. And I want to actually show why we're calling it, the yod or the double quincunx, because that's what it really is. So here's Pluto and here's Neptune, and these 2 are within a sextile. Is it exact by the minute? No, but it is exact by degree. It is still 1 degree. This new moon will be perfecting in a double quincunx to Pluto, Neptune, and Saturn. Saturn's in there too. Now, Saturn is rules, law, government, anything in regards to bosses and CEOs. This is going to be a very sneaky kind of vibration of like, I'm going to start silent quitting and move into a different direction. Go work at this other company. I'm going to go start interviewing with someone, and other people aren't going to know what I'm doing because I don't want anyone to know until I'm sure, until I'm in it, until we can agree on everything, until everything can be negotiated, written out, signed off on, signed, sealed, delivered, completely processed, completely approved within the courts, approved, solidified. And in this moment, we are not necessarily solidifying things. But there is another element in this that's not on the screen quite yet, and I'm going to bring in it now. And that is Uranus. Good old Uranus. Transit Uranus in Gemini. He is starting to slow down. And Uranus is going to square this new moon over the course of the weekend. Now, Uranus is in the higher authority in this square. It is in the aspect, it can understand Pluto, it can understand Saturn and Neptune because it's in a sextile to those two, it's in a trine to Pluto, while squaring the actual new moon in Virgo. Not everybody has to know what you're working on. Not everybody has to know what you're doing. Sometimes it's good just to have one person in your corner who understands, who sees eye to eye with you. Uranus is going to have one of two elements when it comes to this vibration. And Uranus will be involved in the second new moon in Virgo. The difference between the two is right now Uranus is direct. By the time we get to the end of September and we get into the actual eclipse in Virgo, Uranus will be retrograde. Uranus is in the higher authority, pushing forth independence, pushing forth excitement, pushing forth expect the unexpected. Now, the thing is, Uranus has been in Gemini since July 7th. We just had a Mercury retrograde. Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. The recent Mercury retrograde, and I said this before, I'm reiterating it now to make it more clear and solidify this in a lot of people's heads. We had to make space, rethink the plan, rethink the work, rethink the previous way of doing things to prepare for the next, the new, the thing that we do to take something forward. We needed the tests in the Mercury retrograde. We needed people to push our buttons in that Mercury retrograde. So we would shift our focus, shift the direction, go talk to this other person, go in this other way. And for a lot of people, again, this start of the new direction, for some people, it is extremely exciting. I want to do this thing, and I don't care if anyone else wants to do it with me. I don't care what everyone else thinks about it. I don't care about them. I just want to do this. It's going to be so much fun. Uranus square the new moon in Virgo. But the new moon, again, is a change that needs weeks to come to light. Secrets coming to the surface that will take weeks to completely play out. Plans coming to the surface that will take weeks to play out. For some people, the Uranus square in this brings excitement. For other people, it will have unimaginable shakeups to things that we don't want to be responsible for. We don't believe we need to be responsible for. We don't want to fight about. Because again, I'm adding in the elements of those quincunxes to Pluto, Saturn, and Neptune. No, I don't think I can do all this. No, I don't think you can do that thing over here. No, I don't think we're going to hire for that position. No, I don't think we should. Just because you don't want to do something doesn't mean something isn't going to happen. And this is one of those things that for people that have been very much stuck in their rut, not wanting to make changes, when you see changes going on elsewhere, it is going to really push a new set of emotions to start to come to the surface between now and that second new moon in Virgo. Right now, Saturn is wrapping up its trip in Aries. On September 1st, Saturn will go back into Pisces and go deal with whatever unfinished emotions, plans, situations we did not deal with well before. It is going to make us go back into unfinished business while simultaneously pushing new things forward. Because other people are moving into new things, we'll have to come to terms with being outgrown. For some of us, we are outgrowing the elder. We are outgrowing our bosses. We are outgrowing our relationship. We are outgrowing some level of responsibility. Are we ready to have all of those conversations right now? Nope. Are many of us going to have those conversations in the future? Yes. Some it will be within a day or two. For others, it's going to be more in the second half of September, when the sun really steps into the other areas of the sky, moves, gravitates into those directions. If you go into this new moon and you don't see fireworks, don't expect them. You go into this new moon and you see things that are exciting. You see the people that are in that celebratory mode. You yourself are feeling like you are in that celebratory mode. That's a good thing. That gives opportunity, that shows the direction. But for every bit of fun, new, exciting, we're breaking the mold, we're going to transition into something else, we're going to try something new, we are seeing the people step away from those that would not make changes, would not find a way to grow. They got stuck in their rut, or they did make changes, but adamantly someone else is against whatever changes have been made. The thing is, Saturn and Neptune, they've been in Aries just for the last few months. They did their pinky toe dip into new waters, into new vibrations, into new plans, into new ways of doing things. But in the midst of them being there, some people have had their toes stepped on. Other people have just charged headfirst. All gas, no brakes, but also no mental energy put into who we've hurt along the way. The thing about Aries is it's a very impulsive sign. They want to do things without thinking about them. They like that fun idea. They want to go into that new charge. They want to go into that new direction. And there's something about this energy that certain people in positions of power, they have done impulsive things, blinded by their beliefs because of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. And because they have been so impulsive, going in whatever direction, but not realizing that they've even stagnated, because in a lot of ways, a lot of them have stagnated, it has created a rift for someone to move in another direction, move elsewhere, start their transition into a new direction, onto a new path, into a new beginning. Whether certain people like it or not. Now, I want to add a layer to this. And that layer has to do with Jupiter. Over the last week, going into this new moon, Jupiter has entered shadow. That means a lot of the decisions we are making right now, we will be coming back to in the springtime. This vibration of the new and exciting is just the first step and the first layer. It will not be completely solidified for months. This first step will be solidified a few days, few weeks, depending on your individual situation. The human effect is always varying for some people. The first steps of what we are doing right now, we will come back to in the springtime, and we will be ready to revise, revamp, reshape, redo something. Because sometimes when you build the first one, you realize your errors. We're going to make some errors. We're going to make some mistakes. We're going to cut some things a little too short. We're going to forget to measure twice because we've been impulsive. That doesn't mean we're making a mistake. We need to start this part of the venture to build the traction, to build the direction, to build the attention for something new, something bigger to start in 2026. Six? Yes, it is 2025. I don't know why. I just went blank there. I'm tired. Yes, 2026. Only so much of the new is going to stick because all the bigger new really comes into focus that spring of 2026. Saturn and Neptune will be back in Aries. Jupiter will end its retrograde. The final eclipse axis going between on the Virgo side, I can't say between. On the Virgo side, we'll also starting the eclipse energy in Aquarius, and that's really fast forwarding into stuff for next year. So we're going to stay focused on the now. Okay. Give me just a second. If you have never heard a full moon or new moon video, that is okay. The way that I read everything is from a whole house perspective. There are other ways to read charts out there. I have found based off of the transits, whole house is the most accurate because no matter where your quote, quote, house would start in any other system, 0 degrees of Aries is still 0 degrees of Aries. 0 degrees of Virgo is still 0 degrees of Virgo. So I read everything from a whole house system. I don't care if your ascendant is at 2 degrees or 22 degrees. Wherever that ascendant lies, that entire zodiac sign is your first house. And then every numerical house that will follow will be associated with the next zodiac sign. So with that being said, let's get into the charts. Let's get into Aries and Aries risings. Okay, my loves. This is a new moon in your 6th house of health, how you care for yourself, how you care for other people, how you are of service. This can have to do with pets or livestock, depending on your living situation. It can be your health or the health of someone else. The Saturn-Neptune energy in your 1st house, many of you have had to pull back from certain people. We don't see them the same way. We don't see certain things the way that other people want us to see them. Some of us, that might be our siblings. Some of us, that might be people in our friend group. Some of that might be within our coworkers. Saturn rules your 10th house of career. Some of you might be getting triggered over and over again to kind of not be out in the forefront in certain ways or not maintain certain levels of responsibility. And I'm more focused on the fact that we have Saturn and Neptune in your 1st house. Now, over the next month, going from one new moon to the next, Saturn will retrograde back into your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings. Some of what starts to come through in this new moon and over the lunar month ahead, so it's not just the one day, it's the entire month, might trigger you into melancholy, into depression. It might trigger you into going a little bit more hermit mode, given that we're getting closer to these 2 planets retrograding back into Pisces, where you thought you were going to do certain things a certain way, where you thought you were going to have certain responsibilities, where you thought you had certain things lined out. You're starting to realize that some of the people you thought you could do them with, you can't trust them the same way anymore. And that's a big part of what's going on in here. Now, some of you might be getting triggered back because of something going on in your health. Mercury rules your sixth house of health. That's your intestinal health. That's anything having to do with the limbs on your body. You have 2 arms, 2 eyes, 2 legs. So anything in your body that's in duality. I kind of said that incorrectly just now. And there could have been things in regards to like your physical body that have recently also been tested. Tested energetically, not just the idea of like going in for testing, but some of you have actually gone in for certain tests. You've gone in to become aware of treatments. You've gone in to have some type of scan. And the long-term impact of what I feel like Saturn and Neptune is doing for many of you is what's going to be your new routine in like medications and how you care for yourself in that way. But right now we have something that says the new thing in your routine, new moon in the 6th house, is going to be something that is required by someone else and not so much things that you are actively choosing to do. Now, for other people, because other people are doing new things, you just feel yourself pulling back, like I was saying before. Saturn and Neptune being retrograde in that 12th house, like you feel yourself pulling back, withdrawing. I'm like, okay, you go do your thing. Now, considering again, this new moon is in a square to Uranus. Uranus can be your 3rd house of communication, siblings, travel. Some of you are getting asked to travel somewhere. And if you go, it's like once you're there, you're adamantly against whatever is going on. You're having to travel for work. And once you're there, you're like, oh my God, why are we even here? This is a clown school. We're doctors. What is going on? This is not real. And there can be some frustration in what starts to be uncovered, what starts to come to light. And considering your chart ruler, Mars, is in Libra, it's in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships and legal matters. Your focus right now isn't necessarily on yourself. Your focus is dealing with other people. And it's like the more you deal with people, the more you deal with that one person, the more you deal with a certain situation, the more your frustration can build. And that's a real thing. Now, if we are dealing with something tied to travel, don't be surprised. Uranus is in the 3rd, and if it's travel, it's most likely work travel. Some of you might be experiencing something with a sibling, and you go and you do something to help them out strictly because you're my brother. I'm going to be there because you're my brother. I don't want to be there. I don't want to go. I don't want to be around those people. I don't want to be around my ex. I don't want to be around our family. I don't want to do this, but because it's you, I'm willing to do it. And that can be a part of this energy. Like it's doing something that we don't want to do. There's a level of hesitancy here, but it's in support of someone else. It's what's best for the kids. It's what's best for the family. Many of you, I feel like we're going to go into some level of like doing something against your will, taking on treatments that we don't want to take on, doing something different in work that we really don't want to do, going out and helping someone just because like you know how to do it, but really and truly you don't want to do it for that person. In a lot of ways, like there's some part of you just like, oh, I don't want to. Uranus is direct, and Uranus is in that sextile to Saturn and Neptune in this vibration. So it feels like in some ways there's allowance, in some ways there's permission, in some ways there is, hopefulness that it could go well. And for some people it will go well, but that doesn't mean that you're happy about what you're doing. It's very uncomfortable in so many ways. Like there's something about this new moon, especially with your chart ruler being in Libra. Even if it goes well, you're still not comfortable. You're doing things to save face. You're doing things because it's just the right thing to do. Now, some of you are going to be looking at shifting something completely in your routine because of another person. And even then, you're not entirely happy about it. And if we allow certain things go on for too long based off of the other person, it's going to be the stuff that kind of triggers us back into hermit mode. And again, I'm focusing on once we get into September, Saturn will retrograde back into Pisces. And there's going to be a lot of people that have like this unresolved emotional guilt, frustration, again, melancholy, something right there that starts to impact our psyche. And this is more part of September, but I feel like we're going to have some of the triggers. If we haven't already been having them, we're going to have them once we get into this new moon. So there's that. Moving along. For Taurus and Taurus risings, this is a new moon in your fifth house of love and luck and joy and romance and happiness and children. It is squaring Uranus in your second house of money. Some of you are going to want to go out and be a playful child, and you don't care how much money it costs. Oh, this trip is going to cost $10,000. That's chump change. It is not chump change. And you would not normally say that, but you're feeling like, I want to go do this thing. I want to go on an adventure. I want to try something. I want to go somewhere. Because sometimes whenever we have stuff going on in our fifth house, our fun inner child wants to come out. I just want to be a kid right now. I just want to have fun. And given the fact that Venus, your chart ruler, is in Cancer, she is exuding this vibration of, I just want to have fun. I just want things to feel good. I just want things to feel simple. Now, some of us, whatever new fun thing we're doing knowing that there's potentially some resentment. Some of you have no idea there's resentment from another person on the other side. Why do I say this? Saturn is in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, can be a spiritual house. It can also be an enemy's house, as much as it can be about healing. In other ways, it can be about hidden enemies. So for some people, by tapping into your inner child, we're escaping and we're healing and we're doing these things that we never got to do before. For other people, because we're doing something different, fun, new, exciting, we don't realize that other people are judging. Other people are frustrated. Other people don't like what we are doing, because right now we're just coming from an emotional standpoint, because Venus is super happy in Cancer. And I just want to feel pretty. I just want to feel loved. I just want to feel happy. I want to feel cozy. I want to feel comfortable. There's this exuding vibration with Venus and Cancer. Now, for some people, the new thing that's going to cost you some money, because Uranus is in your second house of money, is actually about your children. This is a new moon in the fifth house of children. So it's not just your inner child coming out, as much as it could be that. It can be other things too. It can be having to do something new that costs you money, but it's like, it's what's best for your kid. You don't even realize how good it's going to be. Like you start buying their equipment, or you go ahead and pay for their car, or you pay for their fitness equipment, you pay for something, not realizing like this is a big step in their life, just as much as it's something that you can, feel good about. Now, we don't always feel good about spending money, but that level of appreciation and pride that you can do it. I've done that before. I've bought a car for someone else before, and there's a certain welling of pride in your chest whenever you can do that level of a purchase for someone else, knowing that this is now going to be like a transition point of how they can start their life over, how they can do something different, how they can go in a different direction. Given that Venus is also in your third house, as much as it's Cancer, it's your third house of siblings, short distance travel, and siblings. Some of us, that new thing that we might be doing might be with a sibling. So be aware of that too. Saturn and Neptune in your 12th, the way that they are right now. Some of you know that you've been actively cutting ties, and you have felt like it has been time to cut ties. And whenever Saturn goes back into Pisces, and that again is going to start on September 1st, you will also have some unfinished business with some of the people that you've cut ties with that starts to come to the surface. And for some of you, it's going to create confusion. And we're going to go into this vibration that speaks to, we need to understand the difference between friends and lovers. That's going to be something that is going to be real specific as we get closer to the second Virgo new moon, so the actual eclipse. But anytime you have major things going on between your 5th and your 11th, which that's what the next month and a half are really going to entail, a lot of people are going to have some tests and lessons, karmic lessons, once Saturn is back in Pisces, which again is just a few days away. Some very big karmic tests about understanding the difference between friends and lovers. Some of you are going to find yourself dealing with people that should never have been more than a friend. And it is going to be things that kind of create challenge and frustration when it comes to relationships. Other people are going to finally let their guard down, and they're going to give that person a chance that's been in the friend zone for a long time. And even it is going to have its own level of weight and frustration and stuff that'll come. But that's a big part of the vibration that's kind of activating for you guys too, knowing the difference between friends and lovers. We're all at different ages and different stages of our life. Moving along. For Geminis and Gemini risings, this is a new moon in your 4th house of home life, family, roots, ancestry. Some of you feel very, very called to do something different in your home, with your family, with your mother. The reason I say specifically you are feeling called to do this is because Uranus is in your 1st house, your mind, your body, your identity, you. Now, for you to do this new thing, help in this new way, because sometimes you're helping mom or helping a family member. For some people, it's going to be very unexpected that you are doing something so out of the box. But again, Mercury was just retrograde. The last month and a half of Mercury going back and forth in Leo, it revealed a lot of things to you, about you, and really has a lot of you rethinking what's important. And for a lot of you, the unexpected new that you're going to be doing, again, I'm going with the idea that Uranus is in the 1st. It means leaving certain people behind because Saturn and Neptune are in that 11th house of friends, network, clients, and colleagues. You're going to be leaving behind people that you've done business with. You're going to be leaving behind your friend group. Maybe it's not a group. Maybe it's just one particular friend. We're going to be leaving something or someone behind so something else can begin. Now, we might not be all leaving someone behind in the immediate energy. It might take a few weeks, like I said before. Uranus is direct in this moment, but Uranus is stationing. And the other thing that's going to happen over the next month is Uranus will turn retrograde. This first step of the decision that you make over the course of these next few weeks is simply that. It is the first step. And then after a while, Uranus turns retrograde. You won't continue into the new direction. You won't continue doing a bunch of new things. It'll make you go back over the stuff that you've already done, especially over the course of the summer, because Uranus has only been here since July 7th. It's not a long period of time. But a lot of you guys have done some things very out of the box in very peculiar ways that other people aren't necessarily used to dealing with. But that doesn't mean that you're making a bad decision. It just means we can't always be impulsive. Now, again, this is a new moon in the 4th house, a new chapter in home life, a new chapter with your mother, a new chapter with family. And some of you, whatever the new thing going on is with your mother or that family member or in your household, means you don't connect to certain people the same way. Again, Saturn and Neptune are in that quincunx. They're not seeing eye to eye. Well, we wanted you to move to the mountains. We wanted you to move closer to us. We wanted you to settle up roots right here. And in a lot of ways, a lot of you you've had such an itch with Uranus in your 1st. You're like, but I just want to buy an RV and travel the world for the next few years. I don't want to be tied down. And by telling that to your family, just this is an example, by telling your family this thing that seems so unorthodox, they don't know how to deal with it. It's not that they're not going to support you. A lot of them will actually be like, okay, cool, let's go RV shopping. Especially if it's your mom right now. Like, yeah, let's go try it out. We're going to figure it out. And it's by going against the grain, going against the norm, doing the thing that speaks what's best for you. But this is one element of the reveal of seeing something get solidified that you might not completely stay committed to over the next month. It's not that you don't support it. It's not that you don't believe, but you're in this catch 22 of like, I don't want to be stuck in one area. And some people are going to be all about it. Other people are going to be like, where did this even come from? And that's most likely to be your family. That's most likely to be people in your home life. Now, some of you might be doing something that seems very, very unexpected to everyone that they don't necessarily agree with. And that is like, I'm going to go buy the RV. I'm going to go buy a house on the beach. Everyone else lives in the mountains. Like, I'm going to go do this thing. And it seems impulsive to them. It seems spontaneous to them. But it's exactly what you need to do at this time, because again, Uranus is in the mercurial sign. This new moon is in a mercurial sign, and Mercury is your chart ruler. There's a reason for the rethinking, the reshaping, the steps in the other direction. There's a reason for things that need to first happen, knowing that we're not going to completely tell everybody, or knowing that not everybody's going to be on board with it until we're ready to showcase it. And I feel like that's going to be more likely the second new moon in Virgo. And again, that's September 21st. Not everybody's going to know the new thing that's going on with mom, the new thing that's going on in your home life. Not everybody's going to know, or not everybody's going to be able to see if you're buying like the RV. Yeah, you can see it when it's done. It's not going to be done right now. You can see it whenever I'm done with it. I'll post some pictures. Like, it'll be fine. But not everybody gets to be involved in the new vibration. That's okay. Moving along. For Cancers and Cancer risings, this is a new moon in your third house of communication, marketing, siblings, short distance travel, community, but community in the sense of like your neighborhood. There's a transition going on right here. Now, the other thing about the third and the ninth house, and that's where the eclipse axis is for you. Again, this is kind of like the pre-show of what's going on in the eclipse area, is this is a learning cycle for you guys. Some of you are about to go into situations where you are going to be the student. Others are going to be the teacher, depending on where you're at in life. The thing about this Saturn Neptune in the 10th right here is they have gone as far as they're going to go in one area. But you still have major levels of progression and doing new things and building certain levels of confidence, because Jupiter is still direct in your first house. And this whole timeline of Jupiter and Venus being in your first, it brought a lot of attention to you, a lot of attention on you. And again, a lot of the things that have come through over the last few weeks while you've had both of them in your first is going to be a big part of that vibration of what you need to teach or what you need to learn, where you're going to be going. The attention on you is like setting the stage for where you're going to be going, what you're going to be dealing with. And a lot of you are about to go into a place where you're just not sitting still. You're going back and forth. You're going to multiple places. You're taking on like a lot of training, or you're taking on a lot of classes. Sometimes you're the trainee, sometimes you're the trainer. It is what it is. But there's something getting solidified in this new moon that we are going to do something different. But this solidified feels like we're doing it to better ourselves. It's more like self-enrichment, because again, this new moon is in a quincunx to Saturn and Neptune. It feels like we're committing to bettering ourselves, taking the classes, taking the training, taking the lessons, taking the experience, doing this extra thing so we can reach our goals later, but we know we're not going to have immediate goal reaching. Like you have to finish the class, you have to finish the training, you have to teach all of your students, you have to go to all of the places to make it make sense. And over the course of this next lunar month, so new moon in Virgo to the next new moon in Virgo, over this entire next lunar month, you guys are going to be so mentally, physically busy, 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 busy. But what it results in for you in the long run, especially when we get into 2026, okay, I do mean long run, will be huge. And that's a good thing. So commit to the busy, even if like the financial offers aren't, exactly what you want, even if the cost is a little bit more than what you're comfortable with. Because for some of you, like the cost of the class and be like, God, it's $500 and I'm only going to do it for a weekend. God, that's a lot of money. But what it teaches you, the possibilities of what it can teach you, depending on what you're doing. Let's not do a bunch of scammy MLM stuff, but still. What the potential is for you in the long run is immeasurable. So sometimes you have to commit and do something knowing that you might not fiscally be rewarded the way you desire for months. And I'm also with you guys, I'm including that quincunx with Pluto in here too, and our wonderful yod, and it being in the 8th house. Like we might be committing to something not knowing that we're going to make the money back from all the travel. Like, where I'm going to go do all these shows, I'm going to go do all this stuff. And I'm not entirely sure if I'm even going to make any money. But it's like your gut says this is the best thing for you to do. So there's that. All right, moving along. We're going to get to Leos and Leo risings. This is a new moon in your 2nd house of money, your assets, your stuff. There's a financial element here. Now, going off of this quincunx to Pluto and Saturn, some of you, the financial change, other people either don't want you to be responsible, or it's something recently that has made you rethink certain responsibilities, or because somebody else can't be responsible, you have to step up because of that Saturn-Neptune conjunction. And also Pluto in the seventh house of relationships, partnerships, legal matters. Somebody in the other side not doing what they say that they're going to do, not living up to expectations, not believing that you have lived up to expectations. That Mercury retrograde in your 1st house, and right now Mercury and the Sun are in mutual reception now that we're into Virgo season. So Mercury's in the Sun's house, the Sun's in Mercury's house. You are in so many ways taking the lead here, making the decisions, holding people accountable. And the more you do these things, the more people are going to be adamantly against, like, well, that's not really how we do things. Yeah, but whenever I was trying to do it the other way, you didn't like it. You didn't agree. You didn't want to talk to me. You had something to say. So now I'm trying to play it by your game and you don't want to do it either. What's the deal? This is a new moon squaring Uranus in the 11th house of friends, network, clients, colleagues, but groups of people, masses of people. And the mass, the group, the friend in certain cases, the colleague, they do support the change. They do support what you're doing. They do support the efforts that you're taking to hold someone accountable. It might not be in the immediate of the accountability. Some of the things that we're doing, it's like we're moving in the shadows. But there's a lot of this vibration that speaks to you, Mercury in your 1st, while there's a new moon in Mercury's sign, are making the decisions for long-term financial change. So that can either mean taking a different position at work, looking for a new position, doing that quiet quitting, like what I was saying in the intro, doing something without full approval. And Sometimes that backfires. Let's be clear about that. Sometimes that can come with a backfiring. For other people, though, there's sometimes that if we do something without the approval, it's like sometimes it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. Because once I can show the results, once I can show that we can do something, once I show that I did my homework and they didn't, it's undeniable. Everyone has to accept it. Everyone has to recognize what we're looking at. And that feels like it's going to be more tied to the second new moon in Virgo, that a lot of you for a little while might be doing some working in the shadows. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing, but you're making very active decisions for weeks to come. And there is something or someone in particular that had to get released, had to be cut off, that had to change in the Mercury retrograde so you could finally make these decisions, so you could finally get what's coming to you. And that could be negative, that could be positive, that statement. But it is what it is. Like, some people are going to absolutely adore and love the direction that things are taking shape. Other people are going to face a lot of challenge and scrutiny depending on where you're at in this process. Okay, moving this along. To Virgos and Virgo rising, you are the troublemakers. Oh my gosh, you are the troublemakers. But you have every reason to be troublemakers. Mercury was retrograde in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, endings, betrayal. And whenever Mercury retrograde started, there was a lot of planets in Mercury's sign. And I keep bringing that up because Mercury, of course, is your chart ruler. You go back to that early part of July, we had Uranus, Venus, the South Node, and Mars all in your signs. Venus and Uranus were in the 10th house of career. Mars in the South Node, of course, the South Node is still in the first house, but Mars was also in Virgo. As much as you were driving something forward before you were driving something forward, but the more we were driving something, the more we were pushing something to happen. In some ways, some of you are creating your own undoing because some of you were trying to get something accomplished and we were getting so much resistance from other people. We're in this vibration of like, we're having to start making decisions of like, who's continuing with us or not. Some of you've had that going on for a while. And I know I've said it to you before. Some of you are going to be rethinking your partnerships because they're not doing what they say they're going to do. And that's been a continuous flow and a continuous vibe. The thing is, this is a new moon in a quincunx to Saturn and Neptune in your 8th house. Death, debt, taxes, inheritance, shared assets, shared resources, investments, investors. And some of you are going to have to start doing something without the approval, without the funding, without something or someone involved. Now, for some of you, that is terrifying because this is, again, is a new moon in your first house. So it's you, your mind, your body, your identity, squaring Uranus in the 10th house, career, goals, public image for the future. You don't care if you have the funding sometimes. You're just excited, Uranus in the 10th, to do this new thing, to go in a new direction. Some of you are making certain steps forward, not sure how the money is going to get made, how the money is going to come. And that, again, is the new moon with that quincunx in the 12th. You're going into uncharted territory. Not 12th. Saturn and Neptune in the 8th, not knowing where the funding is going to go. But Mercury, in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, you are going into uncharted territory. And when you go into something blindly, I don't know how to make this work. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know what I don't know, but I got to try. I got to do something. So much of you are like a person trying to feel their way through a dark room right now. And ironically, this is called the dark moon. So there you go. You feel like you're in the dark room trying to feel your way out. It's not going to happen as quick as you would like. And I want you to be very, very aware of the vibration as we get closer to September 1st. So the 1 or 2 days before and the days after for sure. Because Saturn is going to go back into your seventh house of relationships, partnerships, and legal matters. Some of you are about to have a legal matter or a partnership agreement of some sort that has to start to get revised, that has to start to get looked at differently. And considering when Saturn was in those latter areas of Pisces, we were still in such a volatile vibration. This was back in March and April, that we felt compelled to make certain decisions and certain agreements that in many ways, many of us did not think through completely. We just acted impulsively. We believe what we were being told, the bill of goods that we were being sold, that we have no idea just who we're dealing with, just what's going on. And you're not going to know for a while. But whenever it comes to this energy, you guys have to come to terms with the fact that you're going to have to cut some ties and let some things go, knowing that you're going to be left in the darkness for a while. But I do mean a while. I don't mean it in like months. That's when I say long term. I mean a couple weeks. It won't take long for Mercury to come into Virgo. It won't take long. A month is not that long to get to that second new moon in Virgo. And I think that's whenever we're going to be closer to either letting go of a potential partner or coming to terms with a new partner based off of like how that lays out in that second eclipse. But if you feel like you are in the darkness right now, I am not surprised. If you feel like you're doing certain things in secret, I am not surprised. There's a reason for the darkness element of it, the hidden element of it, and it will not last forever. So there's that. Moving along. For Libras and Libra risings, this is a new moon in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, healing, blindsiding, enemies, hidden enemies. Some of you have you've had a lot of tests whenever it comes to your friendships. You've had a lot of tests in regards to partnerships. You've had a lot of tests in regards to clients, because that Mercury retrograde was in your 11th house of friends and networking, clients and colleagues. Saturn and Neptune in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships. There's something in the vibration where it feels like relationships are falling away. Partnerships are falling away. People are falling away. And what I started to warn you guys before, I don't remember if it was the last lunation or 2 lunations ago. So I don't remember if it was the full moon in Aquarius or if I started to say it back in the new moon in Leo. I feel like I said it in the new moon in Leo, though. You guys are going to have the first inklings that start to instigate a dark night of the soul. You're going to have the first inklings of purge, because you're about to go through the eclipse axis in your 12th house. Some of you are going to have to make active decisions as to who you're going to release, who you're going to let go of. And that will be the only solution, is you have to make those choices. Some of you are going to realize, because of what went wrong during the Mercury retrograde, it is now either brought new people to you or it is clearing people from you. And I feel like more often for a lot of you, it's clearing people from you. And you're feeling a lot of judgment from others. Now, here's the deal. Within a few days of this new moon, your chart ruler, Venus, is going to go into Leo. And what I have said in the prior episodes, and I will say it again next week in the weekly episode, is Venus going into Leo brings results to everything we've been dealing with over the summer. She has results. She's bringing some additional things, but that's going to be Venus in your 11th house of friends, network, clients, colleagues. In addition to that, Mars, the ruler of your 7th house of relationships, your 7th house of partnerships, legal matters, the other side is in your first. People are going to judge, good, bad, or ugly. People are going to make mistakes. People are going to make decisions. People are going to do some things. And it is either going to piss you off, Mars in the first, to where you do certain cutoffs in eclipse season, 12th house energy, or it makes you become reclusive and withdraw and kind of go into hiding for a little bit so you can restore your energy. And that's why I'm comparing it to like partial dark night of the soul vibration that we have to clear out. We have to take the step back. We have to let the house clean itself. Now, that's not a normal thing to say, but sometimes you got to let that roommate just whatever. I don't care what you take. I don't care what you take. Just do it. Do what you're going to do. Be very aware of the people you are trusting right now, the people in your surroundings, because a lot of people are about to move away. They're going to go in a different direction. The thing is, a lot of people can't move in a different direction without demonizing you or demonizing another party. In this case, we're talking about you, but there's something about this mentality of like, I can't just do a clean cut of like, oh, I can just kind of feel I'm outgrowing this place. I'm outgrowing you. This isn't working anymore. The other side either gets their feelings hurt. You are going to get your feelings hurt, or they're going to do something purposely to make you the bad guy in the situation, because that's the only way they know how to let someone go, is by creating drama, creating frustration, creating issues. You guys need to be aware of that. Some of you, it's going to be a gentle release, healing, letting go, letting things just happen. For other people, there's going to be drama. Is it all going to happen in the first new moon? Not necessarily. What you can happen to find out in the first new moon is that a bunch of other people have gone and done something that you were not included in. You were not invited to. You were not a part of the equation, because again, it was a new moon in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and hidden enemies. For a lot of you, there's some shit going on behind your back. You need to be aware of that. All right, moving along. Oh, for Scorpios and Scorpio risings, this is a new moon in our 11th house of friends and networking, clients and colleagues and people we like to surround ourselves with, people that we are in alliance with. There's new friendships coming through, new business connections. Why do I say specifically business connections? Because Mercury, the ruler of this new moon, is in your 10th house of career. It's going out and socializing and making new business connections. By making these new business connections, we also can find a new way of making money. We see potential in the partnerships because, again, it's a new moon in the 11th, squaring Uranus in the 8th house. Now, this new stuff that's going on, either with our friends, with our clients, with certain people, they might be doing something that we don't necessarily agree with in certain ways. In other ways, like you're seeing certain things that are going on and you're super excited for them, but you're not wanting to tell them what you are doing. It's really interesting right now because Mars, one of the chart rulers, is in Libra. It is in the 12th house. And this is exhausting. Every time we try to do something, it's like, oh, but this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing yet. I'm in uncharted territory. I'm in a dark room. I'm in a dark vibration. But I mean dark in the sense of like, I can't see through. There's a veiling. And considering this new moon is also in a quincunx to Pluto, our other chart ruler, there is a vibration that speaks to new things going on that we are just there for. Good on you, babe. Not for me. Not my thing. I'm happy for you. And in the future, we might be able to do something different, and that would be cool. But not necessarily right now. This is your thing, baby. I'm just here to say congratulations. I'm just here because it was the right thing for me to do. But it's not necessarily my thing. In the future, it can be. In the future, it can have potential. And again, you can make really good professional contacts, new alliances, whenever it comes to your outlook for career and outlook for goals in the future. But this is not necessarily where you're really putting in an effort to do everything. There's some part of this that it's just not your thing yet. As we get closer to the second new moon in Virgo, that's going to become more of your thing. Because right as we go through the second new moon in Virgo, the actual eclipse, then Mars is going to come into Scorpio. And then our energy level is going to pick up. And then we're going to be doing a lot more different things. In this moment, I don't feel like we're doing all the things. I think we're supportive. I think we're hanging out. I think we're a big part of situations in the sense of like, do you need me to cut the cake? Do you need me to take pictures? Do you need me to help you with setup? Do you need something? But it's just about that. It's not your event. It's not your moment. It is the moment of someone else, and you're just a part of the program. If you even have the energy to go. The thing about anytime our 12th house energy is activated, and whenever it's Mars in the 12th, it's really dominant. It is exhausting. And as much as we can put some energy out for people, it's like it takes 3 times longer to recharge afterwards of like, oh my God, why am I so tired after that? I've been running all summer and now I'm tired. This is so weird. And there can be some things that you realize you have to pull back and not do certain things the same way. But the pullback is temporary. And once we get into, again, September, you'll recognize there are reasons why the pullback was so temporary. It's because you're about to do some other things. And again, a lot of us are going into uncharted territory that we don't necessarily want people to be aware of. And for the most part, it's just because we're working in silence. We don't want everybody else involved. Sometimes we do better just working on our own thing and not allowing everyone else to be involved. Now, the other thing about what's going on with Mars in the 12th is some of the new things that start coming up and coming into light might create some distrust around you because you don't necessarily know what's going on with other people. And Mars in the 12th of hidden enemies. We don't realize some of the people that we're surrounding ourselves with, we can't trust. So just be aware of the people that you're meeting over the next month, the people that you're getting to know over the next month, because there might be more layers to that situation that you can't see right now. Trust your intuition. Learn to trust your intuition. Something feels weird in your gut, then it's weird. All right, moving along. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius risings, this is a new moon in your 10th house of career, goals for the future, things that you want to do moving forward. There's a new direction. Now, your chart ruler, Jupiter, is in your 8th house. For some of you, for this new thing to unfold in your direction, it's going to have a cost. Jupiter is in the 8th. For some of you, the new thing that you're doing into the future is going to benefit you financially. It doesn't have a cost. It's more along the lines of like, oh, and this comes with a pay raise. Heck yeah. Because who doesn't like money? Jupiter is in the 8th. Now, for some of you, this new part of the career or goal that you're doing, whatever the new moon in Virgo is representing, it's either going to require some additional training, education, Mercury in that retrograde we had in our 9th house, or it's going to require additional travel, Mercury, whenever it was retrograde in the 9th house. Some of you have taken a new position. You had an unexpected opportunity kind of fall into your lap. This is a new moon squaring Uranus in the 7th house of relationships and partnerships. It's like somebody new came through, something new came through that has you rethinking what you were doing before, and you're willing to take the additional classes, take the additional training to take on the new position. Now, some people might not be happy that you're getting the position. Remember, this new moon is in a quincunx to Pluto in the 3rd, and the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in the 5th. Some of you might be doing new things in relationship, and we're hiding it from the kids, from your siblings, going off of the fact that Pluto is in the trine to Uranus, Saturn and Neptune are in the sextile. Some of you might be dealing with certain things where you don't want to travel in the same way, or going to tell certain people you're not going to travel, or you tell them that, hey, the next time I come visit you, the next time I come into town, I'm bringing someone with me. It's going to be different. This first wave of Uranus in the seventh house has some level of excitement when it comes to relationships. But for other people, it's going to be the first level of independence. Be like, hey, when I come visit you this time, I'm not bringing him. It's just me. It's just me. It's going to be a girls' weekend. It's just us going to do our thing. I'm not bringing this other person. And Uranus in the seventh can be that first wave of like independence, of not doing things with certain people. And that new thing can cost money. That little trip is going to cost you some money, but that doesn't mean that what you're doing isn't worth it. And some of your friends are going to be very, very shocked to see you with someone or without someone, depending on that situation. Not everybody is going to be in the know that you're making certain commitments, either on behalf of another person or without the support of another person, depending on that situation. But there's something new that's starting to take shape in our goals, in career, that is either based off of the other side, because the new moon is squaring Uranus. It's based off of what they've provided. It's based off of the information that has been there. It's based off of a commitment that you have made that not everybody is aware of quite yet, or not everybody is in agreement with. Now, just remember, this commitment comes with layers, comes with levels, and we will be rounding back to this in some way come springtime, because we will have our final eclipse in Virgo. And again, Jupiter, who is your chart ruler, just entered shadow. That means some of the things that we're talking about right now, when Jupiter's retrograde and comes back over this area of the sky, we're going to be dealing with it again. And that again is going to be the springtime. Okay. Moving along. For Capricorns and Capricorn risings, this is a new moon in your ninth house of travel, higher education, higher learning, getting closer to institutions. Some of you are about to do some new levels of training. Some of you are going to be teaching other people. Higher education, you're more likely to be doing that level of education. But not everybody likes what you're doing, because this is a new moon in a quincunx to your chart ruler, to Saturn. Good old daddy Saturn. Some of you have been looking at the new things that you want to do within your home life, with your family, for your mothers. And what you thought you were going to do, you're starting to hesitate. Something is starting to make you feel questionable. And it's already been going on for a little bit. And there is going to be a vibration that speaks to, I can't continue to do something the same way. But in a lot of ways, you're not telling everybody you can't do that thing in the same way. And that's because Saturn is retrograde in Aries. And by the time we get to the 1st of September, which is not that far away, Saturn will move back into Pisces. And we're going to start going into deeper emotional levels of healing. We're going to submerge back into some old ideas, old things that we were doing that take us all the way back to the springtime. And as you're seeing certain adaptations and change, and you're taking on different lessons, and you're going to all the places that you're going to for work, the ninth house can be higher education, but it can also be a travel house. As you're starting to deal with all these businesses and institutions, and you're starting to do these new things in partnerships, it is starting to take you back into an old modality, an old mentality, an old vibration. And for some people, that's going to require emotional healing. And I'm not sugarcoating that. For other people, it is going to be teaching people what you've healed from. You're going to find yourself in the situation over the course of the next few weeks of like, I remember when I was going through that. I remember how it felt. I remember how raw I was. I remember what it took to heal. I remember what it took to survive. I remember. And there's going to be a lot more emotional eruptions for you over the course of the fall, and going into the winter, because Saturn is going to go back into Pisces. And we're going to go through this wave of like healing old wounds, but teaching other people how to heal those wounds also. Addressing certain decisions as to whether we've made right decisions or not. And for some of you, what you thought you were going to do a month or two ago in your home life, in your family, in this area, what's going to happen is that you're not going to stay committed in the same way, or you're not going to be able to, you won't be in charge of the responsibilities in the same way. You won't be doing certain things the same way because of Saturn now being retrograde. Now, can your partnerships, whether it's a business partnership or relation partnership, can that still flourish? Absolutely. Jupiter is still direct, and there is still potential of growth and adaptation and change in this way. But there's going to be something about the growth in the adaptation and change in this area of partnership that also seems to be what brings up the old wounds, the old emotions, the things that we need to process and finalize. And we don't even realize whatever new is coming through in this new moon, even if in the mundane sense, it feels like teaching, traveling, learning, educating, that type of thing. Even if it feels like that in the moment, it also feels like something else opens up that cannot be seen, that cannot be easily understood. And it is going to make us realize that in some ways we've gone too far, or we did certain things that we did certain things that won't continue. And for one reason or another, we have to pull back. We have to rethink. We have to revise. Something else is going to pull us backwards. And I'm very, very focused that Saturn in this moment is about to change signs again. And many of you are going to be realizing that you've made decisions in the past that either in this new moon or over the course of the next lunar month, so between the new moon in Virgo on the 23rd and the new moon eclipse on the 21st of September, that you can't commit the same way. It's not that you don't want it, but you recognize that either we were doing something too soon, too fast, or there's something else that's going to pull you back that you can't necessarily explain. That we're not going to be able to continue some things the way that we anticipate. Okay, moving along. For Aquarius and Aquarius risings, this is a new moon in your 8th house. Death, debt, taxes, inheritance, shared assets, shared resources, insurance payouts and payments. There can also be things around child support, considering this is the new moon in the 8th, squaring Uranus in the 5th. Child support is not a reach. Uranus in the 5th house of love, luck, joy, romance, happiness, and children. Many of you are having to deal with some level of a new financial burden that you don't even think that you should be responsible for, given the rest of the elements involved. Now, why am I saying that? Mercury was retrograde in your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, legal matters. Some of you just had something go wrong in a legal matter or in a relationship that now has created either additional debts for you, the eclipses and the financial houses, or is creating additional monetary gains. Now, for some people, it's gains. For other people, it's losses. But what I'm looking at is Saturn in the quincunx to this new moon, Pluto in the quincunx, and Pluto's in your 1st house in the quincunx to this new moon. We don't necessarily like the fact that we're going to have to make these financial decisions. We don't feel like we should be financially responsible. For some of you, the new debt, you're not capable of paying. If yours was more relationship, contractual stuff, it could be more along the lines of like a roommate just moved out, and now you're trying to make up the difference of what that rent payment is going to be. You used to split everything, and now you can't split it right now. You need another idea. You need another solution. You need something else to come through, something to make this easier. There's a lot of you that are going into something right now unsure how you're going to pay for something, how you're going to make money from something, how something is going to work out. And I'm looking at the fact that Saturn is one of your chart rulers and it's in a quincunx to this new moon. Pluto again is in your first house and it is in a quincunx to this new moon. There's two elements on your behalf that speak to you. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know what to believe. I don't know how I'm going to pay the bill. I don't know what I don't know. But I want you to be also very, very prepared for a quick solution, even if it's a temporary solution. Uranus is squaring this new moon. The actual square to the sun is going to be the most exact on Sunday, the 24th. And then between the 25th, 26th, 27th, Venus is going to enter your seventh house of relationships. And it's going to aspect Pluto, Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune. So I feel like you guys can get a solution really, really quickly, but I feel like there's a weight, heaviness, weight, karma, weight, a judgment that needs to be implied first before the benefit can come through, before the result can come through, before the answer to this can come through of like, hey, I heard you need a roommate. I heard you need something else. I heard you're looking for a job. I heard you're needing something. And Venus coming through can, be something that helps us overcome our fears. And that will kind of come through by the end of the month. So whether that's a long-term solution that Venus brings in or a short-term solution, that's going to be kind of up for grabs. But what I am looking at is like in the vibration immediately around this new moon, I feel like you guys are very much questioning how we're going to make something work, how we're going to be able to afford something, how we're going to be able to get all the kids to school, how we're getting everything worked out, how we're getting everything put together, but you're going to find benefit or solution rather quickly. And I feel like Venus is going to give you the solution, but I think you need a few days to sweat. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you have already been in the situation where you're sweating. Many of you have been dealing with things in regards to seeing other people, seeing your partners in a different light, seeing people that you have trusted in the past in a very different light. And because some of that has been tested, some of that has changed, it's now opened a different opportunity. For some of you, that has been a good opportunity because it's like, I didn't know that this could even work as a business. I didn't know that I could make money this way. And there can be benefit to it. But I think you are going to need either the first few days, you need Venus to come into Leo, or you need the entire lunar month. So going all the way to the end of September before you can get the solution, the reward, the understanding. But the weight of financial responsibility is very real for a lot of you. Okay. Moving along. For Pisces and Pisces risings, this is a new moon in your seventh house of relationships and partnerships and legal matters. Some of you have a new partnership on the horizon, one that you did not see coming. It almost seems too good to be true. It seems rather confusing. Where have you been? Where did this come from? How did this come to light? New moon in the seventh. Uranus in the fourth house of home, life, and family is squaring this new moon. For some of you, you've been shopping for a house the whole time Uranus has been in Gemini. And it's like all of a sudden the right listing comes on the market and boom, contract. And you go from like, I don't know where we're going to live to, oh, wow. Now I don't know when we're going to close. And our mental shift, the gear shift that comes through is very, very quick. Some of you had a house under contract. I'm going with Uranus in the fourth. You had a house under contract and you thought you were going to be closing back in the early part of August, but really by now you've had to release a contract. You're not continuing it. You're not going to have that contractor in. You're not having the actual purchase of the home. There's something about what's been going on in the home life with Uranus in the fourth that has now impacted whether this is a legal situation or it has now impacted the relationship. And it is making us shift something that we were not anticipating. That's going off of negative concepts. For other people, you have had something going on in your home life that has now introduced you to another person, something going on with your family that has now introduced you to another person. There's something about the other side that is just coming to light. And it's not just a one and done situation, it's like a series of events that need to unfold all throughout Virgo season. So that's going to be also that lunar month of like the first new moon in Virgo to the second new moon in Virgo, over the course of the entire lunar month, of like making us see something or someone very, very differently. For some people, it is a legal matter. And it's like every time something pops up, we're like, something else went wrong, something else didn't go to plan, something else is changing, something else went wrong, something else didn't go to plan, something else is changing. There's a frustration there. That Virgo vibration. For other people, it is a new relationship. It is the potential of a new partnership. And I'm gotta be clear, you had Jupiter and Venus in your fifth house of love, luck, joy, romance, happiness, and children for a few weeks before we went into this new moon. The flirtation was there. The potential of luck was changing. Things going on with your kids could also be a part of what's going on here. It's like you take your kid into the doctor's office, but the doctor was super cute. Are you single? Oh, you are. Interesting. Interesting. There was an opportunity there. There was something else there that we were not anticipating, but we were more likely to be a little more flirtatious in it. With Jupiter being one of your chart rulers in that fifth house, if it isn't related to, doing the kid thing that way, part of the new legal matter might actually have to do with your kids in regards to we're making filings based off custody of your children. We have a new thing that's starting to come to light legally based off of your children. Some of you might be doing some new legal situation, new moon in the seventh, that you don't know how you're going to pay for in that quincunx of Saturn and Neptune in your second house of money, and Neptune being in the other chart ruler. This is what's right for the kids, but I don't know how I'm going to pay for that lawyer. I don't know how I'm going to deal with everything. And this is one step in transition. You do the filing, you go talk to the attorney, you figure out your payment plan. There's going to be an entire lunar month of putting things into an order to make things work, to make things happen. And I'm going to remind you guys, Neptune is retrograde, which is one of your chart rulers, and Neptune will be back in this area of the sky that he's in right now come spring of 2026. Jupiter is now in shadow, and he will be back in this area of the sky in the spring of 2026. So there's only so much of the new that we're doing, whether it's a legal matter, whether it's a relationship, it does not matter. Partnership, friendship, whatever the new is for you. Only so much of this new is going to stick. Some part of it is going to come, we're going to come back full circle to in the springtime. And it's either going to be a test or it's going to be taking something to the next level. Like this is the first stage of something that will be even bigger in the spring of 2026. So be aware of that. Be aware of that. Okay. Okay. I love and appreciate every single one of you. I hope everyone has a wonderful black moon, first new moon in Virgo. I hope everybody is able to start doing something. And if you feel like whatever you're doing, you do not want to share with everybody, that's okay. You don't have to share it with everybody. Just know that it will only stay in the darkness for so long. So if you're being sneaky, you can't be sneaky forever. Hopefully you're not. Anyways, I love and appreciate every single one of you. I will talk to everybody very, very, very soon. Subscribe.